Hi guys, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a what's for dinner video for you where I show you what I feed my blended family of 6 throughout the week. This is just real life, real simple meals, guys. Sometimes it's hot dogs and fries. So let's just get right into it because first up on Monday night is air fryer hot dogs and spicy curly fries. And of course, my new Ninja Foodi. So let's go. If you want to see how I put this together, just keep watching. Now first up, I'm just preheating my air fryer. I usually let it sit for about 5 minutes. And as per usual, the ingredients you will need are hot dog buns and hot dogs. We like these Larson ones on the East Coast. Just a little basil to toast up my buns, some broccoli from Costco that you can get in the 4-pack, steam it right in this bag, 7 or 8 minutes, and it's perfect, even though the bag says 5 to 6. Don't trust it. Of course, per usual, we melt a little bit of Cheese Whiz to put on our broccoli, and these McCain lightly spiced curly fries are delicious. If you like Arby's curly fries, they're pretty similar to that. So here you have it, everything you will need for this Monday night meal. Now, just to avoid any incidents in the air fryer with exploding, I'm going to go ahead and do about 3 or 4 slits in each of these hot dogs, and I just went ahead and did it on the bias just because I thought it would be cute. And once it's preheated, like I said, for about 5 minutes, I set it to 375. Throw them in. I tried to level them out as much as I could. I cooked 10 hot dogs in here and they all sit flat on their own without being piled on top of each other. So I think that's pretty much the max. Now I'm finding a lot with this Ninja Foodi, it's trial and error and personal preference. So first up, I threw them in there for about 6 minutes and I think I did them an extra 2 after this. So it's just how you want your hot dogs. You can open the lid at any time and check it out. Now, of course, I'm going to melt up about 3 good tablespoons of the Cheese Whiz in the microwave. Usually it takes about a minute and I kind of stir it in between. And then I'm going to get my hot dog buns out. Originally, I thought I would do the buns in the Foodi, but realized I didn't have enough room for everybody. So here I'm just doing up 2, thinking I was doing them for Jamie, but you're going to see later on that I'm going to toast them up for everybody. I will say this is a treat though. We love pan-fried hot dog buns and hot dogs, so no worries there. We loved it. I opened it up, took a look, realized I felt like they could use 2 more minutes. They might have been good at the 6-minute mark, guys. I found after a few minutes they kind of shriveled up a little bit, so maybe I pushed it too long, but you guys decide. Here's what they look like when they were done. I did like the look of them a little bit better. They looked a little bit toastier, if that makes any sense. A little bit more edible. And you're going to see in a minute that I have 2 dogs who thought that they smelled fantastic and really had no negative things to think about. Alright, so I go ahead and throw these in. I'm not too worried that they're on top of each other. As long as you shake the basket once or twice while they're cooking, I found that that's not an issue. I'm going to go ahead and do them for about 15 minutes at the highest setting, so that was 400 degrees. And then I'm going to check on them. I think I ended up doing them a few more minutes longer, but you'll see that too. And here I go, doing up buns for everybody. You guys might think I'm crazy for filming this, but I know when I'm watching these videos, this stuff is so satisfying and relaxing for me, so you're welcome. And here we go. I'm just checking on the fries. They're pretty crispy. I think I threw them in there for another minute or 2 and then we were good to go. And here we go. The Cheese Whiz is ready. Just melt it in 30-second intervals and give it a good stir. It's kind of like chocolate chips. But here's my final plate. I'm pretty simple. I just like ketchup and mustard on mine. I put a little bit of cheese on my broccoli, and here you go. We're ready to dig in. Jamie had his plate, Sebastian had his, and you'll see Roxy's about to get hers.
Roxy! Oh. Roxy for broccoli! Yeah. It's not even hot, you just don't want raw MJ to have it.
And I will confess, Roxy is not the only one sneaking broccoli. I'm sorry if this grosses you out, but this is my house. It was delicious. I love it. Craving the vegetables lately. Anyway, this was supper for Monday night, and it was delicious. Now Tuesday's meal you're going to recognize because it was in my last What's for Dinner, Ninja Foodi roast chicken with potatoes and gravy. This week I used garlic or no salt seasoning, salt, pepper, and lemon juice to season the chicken, but I'll link my video below showing you the details of the timings and everything for cooking the chicken itself. It was amazing. I think I've said that about 1,000,000 times already. Now coming up, I am going to walk you guys through my gravy and my potatoes because I did tweak a few things from the last video. With the gravy, I'm just going to dump the drippings after I pressure cooked because I need to use that pot again to finish air frying. If I didn't need to do that, I could actually saute it right in the pressure cooker, but I'm just going to use the better than bouillon, a little bit of chicken stock and pepper, and get this gravy boiling before I start adding my flour slurry. Now I get these potatoes at Costco. They're a great deal and they're always consistent. So I'm going to go ahead, I think they're just little white potatoes and little red potatoes. Go ahead and slice them in half, throw them in the bowl. Once they're all washed off, I'll speed through this part.
My best friend an apologetic text, he says to come over. Well, the whole damn town has been waiting for the day when you would come.
Now just pour them out onto a cloth or paper towel. Pat them dry with a paper towel. Spray them down with your favorite cooking spray, or if you wanted to just use olive oil, that would work too. I just find this the most convenient. And then I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some of the organic no salt seasoning on there. Also going to throw a little bit of pepper, garlic, salt, and some dried parsley.
Right here, chilling with my friends for another year. I would walk away from the spotlight for the good life. Oh, come on, turn your hate into cold.
And if you recall the paprika debacle, I forgot. I got some, and I'm gonna add that too. So that's a little bit of tweaking. That and the parsley from my last recipe. Now I bundle it all up and pour it into the bowl. You'll see I don't really waste too much, and then I can shake that off in my sink. Kind of mix it all together. Again, don't use a knife to stir. I don't know why I do this, guys. I am not a professional. Like I said, I am a highly unqualified amateur. So now listen to me, guys. The chicken was done. I pulled that out and I go ahead and throw my potatoes in. I go ahead and do them at the highest setting, 400 degrees, and I set it for about 13 minutes at first. These took about a total of 20 minutes for them to get to the right tenderness. They were a little thicker than the last time when I cooked them. So here I am just going ahead and adding my broth into my gravy and my bouillon. And you'll see I took a little bit off my spoon because it is very potent, but it's very good. I added about 3/4 to maybe half a tablespoon. And all I did here was combine a couple tablespoons of flour with about a cup of water, and it just kind of makes a slurry. The last time I made my gravy, I used cornstarch. It does tend to make it a little bit more kind of like a gelatin, I guess, when it dries up or when you're reheating it. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, so here we go. I'm just going to whisk it in and slowly pour it in. Like I said last time, the key to a good gravy is just taking your time so you don't get any lumps. So I went ahead and checked on my potatoes. This is just trial and error, guys. It's whatever your preference is, but I'm going to go ahead and throw them for another 6 minutes just to crisp them up a little bit. All right, guys, I know this was in my What's for Dinner last time, but I'm telling you it was amazing, and I feel like it's going to be a staple probably every couple of weeks in this house. Delicious potatoes, broccoli, chicken, homemade beets, store-bought pickles. A great meal. It was amazing. Give this a try. Give this a try. All right, let's not waste any time. Wednesday was the fully loaded potato soup from the Mitchell's Soup Company. You guys have heard me rave about them before. And I'm letting Jamie cook the bacon. It calls for 1 full package of cooked bacon. He's amazing at cooking bacon. He puts the lid on it. Sometimes it takes half an hour, but I'm telling you guys, it turns out perfect every time. All right, let's get into the ingredients you're going to need. You're just going to need some simple seasoning, salt, and pepper. This is the bacon that we cooked up the night before. It turned out awesome, guys. Take a look at it. I find it easier to cut when it's been sitting in the fridge overnight too, so that kind of helps. You're going to need 1 full onion. You're going to use that chopped up. You're going to use this whole block of basil or butter and then some. I have a little bit more on the side there. Also, it calls for 4 medium cubed potatoes. I just kind of rough estimated these small potatoes because that's what I had on hand. And you're going to need a large Dutch oven or a deep pot. Also, you can use cream or milk. I'm using lactose-free 2% milk. We'll see how it turns out at the end. spoiler alert, it turned out delicious. And of course you need your package of your fully loaded potato soup from Mitchell's Soup Company. So let's get right into it. Alright, so on the back of the bag is the recipe, and it does call for 1 onion sauteed. So I'm going to go ahead and slice up my onion and get my butter going in my Dutch oven. And I'm not sure what possessed me to cut this onion in half and chop it like this. I've never cut onions like this. Also, can I say that I've never had an onion make me cry quite as much as this one did. And the only thing I added to the onions was just a little bit of salt and pepper. Now while I'm sauteing those on medium heat, I'm going to go ahead and cube up all of these potatoes. And I opted to leave the skin on because I just couldn't, it just seemed really painful to imagine peeling all of these tiny potatoes. Spoiler alert again, it worked out fine. Now, lacking in my list of ingredients was the fact that you need 7 cups of water. If you remember last time I made the soup, I tried pouring the ingredients after all the liquid was in and made a huge mess. So I poured my potatoes in the pot, mixed it up with the salt and pepper and onions, and went ahead and added the 7 cups of water. At this point, the recipe says to go ahead and simmer it, bring it to a boil and simmer it for 20 minutes. I had my potatoes cut so small I didn't think that was necessary, so I just went ahead and let it simmer for about 10 minutes before I add the rest of the ingredients. That was a lesson learned last time because I felt like it was all a little bit overdone. So, next step is to chop up the bacon while that is simmering. Now, I have always wanted to say this, through the magic of television or YouTube, it's been 10 minutes. So go ahead, the package instructions say to empty the entire contents of the package into the 7 cups of water. Then you're going to go ahead and add your bacon and your milk. And I will say it's at this point when I got very sad and realized the milk is not going to fit in this Dutch oven. Anyway, go ahead and add the butter. I went ahead and cut it up into little cubes just to help it kind of dissolve a little bit quicker. And you could add the milk at this point, but I wanted to get everything kind of up to a boil again before I added the milk. And you're going to see I do have to switch pots before I add the milk. So fun times. Go ahead and throw in your bacon. I'm basically adding everything I can without overflowing this pot. Now you saw the bag, there's obviously a lot of spices in it, so all it says on there is to go ahead and season accordingly with salt and pepper to your own taste. Obviously, I love pepper. Now the recipe says you can use anywhere, I believe it's from 2.5 to 3.5 cups of cream or milk. I opted for the 2.5. In retrospect, I probably should have did 3.5. I found it did thicken up when I went to reheat it, but problem solved. I just add a little bit of milk before I stick it back in the microwave. So guys, this was it. 20-30 minutes, simmer it. It's basically to cook off the rice and get the potatoes ready. It was delicious. Next time I think I'm actually going to add some seafood, try to make a chowder out of it. It's a very versatile base. It was amazing. Added some milk the next day to reheat because it did thicken a little bit, but it turned out great. You guys, this was supper for Wednesday night. Alright, so for Thursday we're having pork chops and garlic smashed potatoes. If you want to see how this goes together, just keep watching. So let's run through what I'm going to need. I need a little bit of garlic powder for the pork chops, salt and pepper for seasoning, a package of shake and bake, and just the chicken is fine. I don't buy the special pork one. Also going to need, of course, every day. Obviously, I'm trying to use up my freezer, which is frozen broccoli. I've got a stack of potatoes left that I'm going to use up that I still had left after the soup. I've got some minced garlic in the fridge that I'm going to use for my garlic smash, and some butter or basil for that. I've also got some frozen peaches and cream corn that was in the freezer I want to use up. This is kind of like a use up what's in my freezer, what's for dinner week. Anyway, I also have these 4 kind of thin pork chops that I picked up at a local market here. They were on sale for $4.27 for the 4 of them. There's 5 of us tonight, but honestly, we're not huge meat eaters and we will get away with all of this. We'll share this, and there ended up being leftovers, believe it or not. And because you haven't watched me chop enough potatoes in this video, here we go again. Don't worry, I'm gonna speed it up. And there's lots of salt controversy out there, but you guys, I never cook my vegetables without salting them. I just can't. I can't. So I put a little bit of salt. Here we go. And also I'm cooking up this corn. Normally I would just steam it in the microwave, but I've been watching Taylor Elmore's videos and her What's for Dinners, and she keeps saying that she cooks it on the stove with pepper and butter. So that's what we're doing tonight. And then guys, it turned out really good. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Foodi to about 360 degrees, and these are going to cook for about 16 minutes, so I set it at 20 and let it preheat for about 4 minutes. Now we're going to season our pork chops. I just do a light sprinkle of the garlic powder over top of all of them. Then I am going to put the shake and bake on, and I'm going to do a little bit of pepper and a few parsley flakes, so just take a look. And I always spray my air fryer basket. Again, I don't know if it's required. It's just a step I take to avoid disaster. So I'm gonna go ahead and place 3 of these in here. That's the one thing I don't like about the Foodi, is that it's round and they don't fit quite well, but we still make it work. And again, the magic of television, here they are all done. They turned out really well. I will say I did the 4th pork chop at 375, and it was much better. These are amazing, don't get me wrong, but the 375 tended to do them a little bit crispier, so they had a little bit more bite. They were delicious. Either way, highly recommend. Now with the burner turned off, I set the potatoes on there to absorb any extra moisture. And then guys, this is what I put into my mashed potatoes. Jamie filmed it. Unfortunately, he wasn't hitting record, but this is what they turned out to be. Here we go, getting the kids' plates all ready. He's getting his 2 guys ready. Everybody likes butter on their broccoli and their potatoes. Kylie wasn't feeling meat today, and neither was Belle. She's all about potatoes and corn though, and a happy kid at that.
Beets probably, Kylie.
But guys, here was my plate. Homemade beets from Jamie's mom's, absolutely delicious. The pork chops were great. I was able to do 2 batches of the pork chops in under 30 minutes, which is still less than what it would take in my oven. They were delicious, juicy, crispy. Highly recommend air fryer pork chops any day of the week. Heck yeah, we made it. It's Friday. Yes, I just said that. Just turn it off if you don't like it. We are having penne with homemade air fryer meatballs, so if you want to see how this goes together, just keep watching. Now first up for the meatballs, you're going to need breadcrumbs, I like Italian style, 1 egg, you need ketchup, any type of barbecue sauce will do, I like the Sweet Baby Ray's, just some yellow mustard. For herbs, you're going to need some dried parsley, also a little bit of garlic powder. I just don't like using the minced. I just don't like any chunks in my meatballs. Some oregano. You're going to use some fine ground black pepper or cracked black pepper, whatever you prefer. Also going to use some of the, of course, Kirkland organic no salt seasoning. And also, my family's not a huge fan of chopped onions, so we're going to use the dried onions because they seem to not notice that as much. And of course, a little bit of Liam Parents, because I'm not even going to attempt to say this. And I'm using just under 2 pounds of ground beef. This is about an 800 gram pack from Walmart, and they run $10 usually. All right, so the first thing we need to do is put these meatballs together. So as I've said before in my other videos, I don't have a recipe. This is just years of experience, if you want to call it that. But hopefully you can gauge just from watching this video approximately how much I use to do all of this. I mean, usually I'll look at Pinterest and I look at different recipes and I'm like, I should try that. Ultimately, I kind of go back to what I know is always going to work, which is this combination. It works if I'm using pasta sauce. It works when I'm making like sweet and sour meatballs. It kind of works for all avenues. So it's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, so you take a look and hopefully you can gauge what it is I'm putting in to make these. I will say too, this might seem like a lot of ground beef, but my intent is to split it in half and freeze half of the meatballs so I can use them for another meal down the road. Honestly, I do a lot of food prep and freezer meals, but it usually is involved when I'm cooking a main meal and I can make extra or do something to set aside for another day or another week. Now here we are. I'm going to go ahead and use the best mixer I have, which is my hands, and I'm just going to squish it all together and make sure everything is really well combined. And now my favorite tool for making meatballs is this little cookie scoop. You can find this anywhere, Hobby Lobby in the US, Michael's, Walmart, pretty much everywhere has these. So I'm going to go ahead and put these all onto the plate until I've used it all up. And then once I'm done with that, I'll take my hands just to kind of fine tune and round them out. Now you can use a smaller scoop or a bigger scoop or just use a tablespoon. Honestly, that would work too, and make them as big or as little as you want. For me, I'm all about efficiency, and I wanted these to cook in the air fryer as quickly as they could, so I chose a bit of a smaller size. Now this made around 30 meatballs, so like I said, I'm going to freeze half and the other half will be put away. I gauged about 2 meatballs a person in my house. That's more than enough for us, but you gauge what you think your family's going to eat. So this is just an extra precaution, absolutely not necessary. I'm going to spray it with some non-stick cooking spray, and I went ahead and preheated this for about 5 minutes, and I cooked them at 375. It was perfect, 375 for about 11 to 12 minutes. I just couldn't believe how quickly these cooked. And they were cooked to perfection, crispy on both sides. I didn't even have to flip them, worked out perfect. Now I keep this super simple for the sauce, just using these chili seasoned accent tomatoes, the Classico sweet basil marinara pasta sauce, and obviously the penne. But I keep my sauce super simple. I already went ahead and put the meatballs in my Dutch oven. All I'm going to do is add my sauces, my tomatoes, warm it up, and it's ready to serve. Pretty well every meal I serve, guys, is served family style. I lay it out on the counter, everybody comes up, takes what they want, and a lot of times eats when they want, because between activities and everything else, everyone's so busy, it's hard for us to eat at the same time. So this is a good meal for me to make. I had the sauce simmering on the stove, the penne was boiled, ready for anybody to serve up when they wanted it. Now here's the meatballs. I went ahead and froze them in the freezer so they wouldn't stick together in the bag, and I just throw them in the Ziploc baggie and we're ready to go. Also, my olive oil trick, I love to throw that in before the pasta to make sure that it doesn't stick. This is such a simple yet hearty meal to feed your family, especially on a Friday night. I know we're going to eat this tonight and have leftovers for the weekend whenever anybody needs it. Delicious pasta with sauce, homemade meatballs that you could easily make in the oven. It would just take a little bit longer if you don't have an air fryer. We also cooked up a little bit of garlic bread. I just didn't have any with mine here. Throw some cheese on it in the oven. The Costco frozen bread, it was perfect. Guys, this was supper for Friday, lunch for Saturday, and it closed out our week. It was delicious. And there you have it, guys. That wraps up another What's for Dinner. What a great week. Please check in next week, subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and see what I've got cooking. Take care and have a great weekend.